Hey there, Jacksonville and across the First Coast. It is Friday, and I hope you're having a fantastic end of your work week, start to the weekend here. Weather this morning, gorgeous on the First Coast. We actually had really cool temperatures, still staying on the warm side as we go ahead through Saturday and the Sunday, though. We do begin to heat back up into the 90s and then into the 80s with more humid conditions, although into next week. So some ups and downs here in the forecast. Let's go outside and take a live look at what's going out there on Boater Skip Day. And you got a couple little vessels right there in downtown Jacksonville. I'm sure a lot of them cruising through downtown. I've been seeing many of them heading towards the south here, of course, out towards Bayard Point, where a lot of people are meeting up at. But yeah, plenty of boats out there on the water right in the downtown area here on our Friday. And you know what? Weather is looking great for it. A little bit of a northeast breeze, so it definitely could be slightly better out here, but in general, it is pretty dry. In fact, let's draw this front here, because this is about where it is. It's all the way down here towards our south. We have all of this dry air that is just pushing in. A little bit of a northeasterly breeze, but definitely lower dew points here being felt all across the First Coast. So very comfortable conditions here in our forecast. Taking a look at the past 20 hours. So we're looking through yesterday, we had temperatures into the 80s. We dropped down into the lower 60s overnight, and for a time period between 4 and 5 a.m., we actually got down to about 60 degrees, which, by the way, is just 1 degree shy of the record in Jacksonville, which would be 59. I'll talk more about that in a second. 57, though, was our morning low in Cecil. And if you notice, NES Jacks might be curious, why? Well, they're away from the coast. Why do they stay at 70 when Cecil, only like 3 miles away, was at 57? That's because the temperature gauge at Jacksonville, the thermometer temperature gauge, is right near the water of the St. Johns River, which is sitting right around about 82 degrees right now. So solid little modifying effect on the thermometer out there. And yeah, so we got down to 60 degrees, 1 degree shy of the record of 59. I know it feels kind of silly saying record low when we're talking about a temperature of 60 degrees, but it is still June, and we are continuing to heat up out here. And if we take a look actually at the summer solstice comes up in June 21st, so it's not that long away. Longest day of the year. The actual hottest day of the year, though, is in late July 24th. And I'm getting to a point here. The point is that I hope you enjoyed the cooler weather this morning. I hope that you got out there, the lower humidity, because as we go ahead through next week, that humidity does return. Temperatures continue to heat back up. And having an early June cold front that brings those cooler temperatures is rare. Having one in mid to late June heading into July is unheard of. So I think we're going to be at that point where we are not going to see another kind of 50s start to the day until like September and October. So I hope you enjoyed the nicer weather out there. I hope you got out and got to soak up the sunshine and the lower dew points to start off your Friday here. Speaking of starting off your Friday, got some First Coast News Weather Watcher photos sent to us via the First Coast News Weather Watchers Facebook page. If you ever want to send us some photos, check that out. Kathleen sent in this great image. One thing I do want to note, though, and it's kind of, I noticed it here in this shot. It's a great sunrise shot coming behind the pier here at Fernandina Beach. But look at all this. That's all sargassum in the foreground, and that is the seaweed, and it is kind of matted in spots, especially around Jacksonville Beach and the further south you go. So I understand that, this is a natural occurring thing. There are little critters that take shelter in this, but also it does start to smell because there's also dead things inside of it. And when it starts to rot, it does not smell very good. So if you're out there at the beach, you're probably going to notice that. You can go inland, maybe head out along the St. Johns River as we were just looking at that live view, but also over towards the Hart Bridge and the Matthews and that sunrise right here. This is a great shot from Brenda. She always sends us in just some fantastic sunrise shots. And as we were talking about, there's plenty of boaters out there. there today. And, today is Boater Skip Day. A lot of them heading out to Bayard Point. High tide is at 12:56 low tide is at 12:56 p.m. High tide was earlier on this morning around 6 a.m. and there's another high tide coming up around 6 p.m. But the weather through this afternoon into the 80s, cooling off as we go ahead into the evening around 78 there at 7 o'clock. The whole Good Morning Jacksonville weather team there here on our Friday morning, all in spirit, being out there on the boat. And looks like, based on that live shot we were just showing you a second ago, everybody's out there having a grand old time. Friday's high, 86 degrees, though. That is the high for today. With that cool morning, nice little breeze. Sunset's going to be tonight at 8:27 p.m. But here's a fun little thing. At 7:05, Nashville Sounds in town, and we have, of course, the Jumbo Shrimp playing here tonight. That's at 7 o'clock, and actually, let me see if I got an updated forecast, because I think this one is for last night. Same time frame, same great weather, though. Not much of a change here. Here we go. This is the updated forecast for it. And one of the big things I want to point out on this is that the fireworks are returning tonight. You might be thinking, what are you talking about here? Well, the last month and a half, there has been no fireworks on the weekends, as there typically is at the Jumbo Shrimp, and that's because we've had a burn ban in place for Duval County. And now it looks like that burn ban has been lifted for most of the First Coast, in fact, following all the heavy rainfall we've had over the past week and a half. So fireworks are going to be returning out there, and also First Coast News is going to be there. So if you get there early ahead of the first pitch at 7 o'clock, let's say you get there around 6:30. When the gates open, you'll be able to stop by, talk to some members of First Coast News, including meteorologist Ross Muma, and you get to see the Protector and the big old tires on that thing and all the little gadgets and all that. It's a pretty cool piece of equipment. So if you stop by, make sure you say hi to them out there. Temperatures are going to be into the 80s, cooling off into the 70s as we get closer to sunset. So a beautiful evening on tap here. Really a solid little easterly breeze, some afternoon clouds, and even heading into Saturday, very similar. Sunday, the cloud cover will increase, but that also comes in with that increase in the humidity in the latter half of the upcoming weekend, with Saturday's high being a nice, muggy 89 degrees. So it's going to be muggy. It's going to be a bit sticky out there as well. So we got plenty more to talk about here. I'm going to get into the tropics in just a bit, as well as the extended forecast. And we're also going to talk to a member of the National Hurricane Center about AI and how it's changing weather forecasting. But right now, though, pay a couple of the bills. Let's go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to kind of look at not only the weekend, but the week ahead heading into next week.
That is the Protector.
This truck is a beast.
It's got all the tools on it. I love how big the tires are.
And this is going to be able to show you the weather around the First Coast like you've never seen it before.
The Protector really is going to help protect the community.
So you can see what it looks like on the ground. And that allows folks to really take action and do something about it.
And it gives us that edge in continuing to be the most accurate weather team.
Sponsored by HananiahAutos.com.
I'm Keitha Nelson, Good Morning Jacksonville anchor and mom of twins Journey and Trey. I'm on your side, getting you out the door and off to a great start. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News, weekdays from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
First Coast Living Live.
Bringing you closer to the tastiest food.
The best shopping.
And family fun.
Woo!
Jordan Wilkerson and David Benfield. First Coast Living Live. Weekdays at 11 a.m. only on NBC 12.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
The First Coast News weather team is here to deliver your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather and up-to-the-minute information on First Coast News Plus.
The wave of moisture rolls its way on in here.
Our team is the most equipped and experienced to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
My mission is to help you get to where you're going safely. Whether it's helping you beat the backup on 95 or navigating the slowdown on JTB, we've got you covered. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays live from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Hey, welcome back. So let's talk about our weekend forecast here on the First Coast, and really appreciate you watching Weather Impact Live, by the way. Thank you so much for just kind of following along here on FCN Plus. Of course, we have this show, but we also have another one at 4:30, and then we have their evening shows, and we're always streaming on FCN Plus, keeping the latest information as well as what's going on in the news. And the big news in the weather world this weekend is pretty beautiful out there. I'm not going to exaggerate and say there's something happening when there isn't. It's a gorgeous weekend on tap. You even see heading in the next week, not much rain in the forecast either. Maybe down towards our south, but it stays mostly dry out there with a high of 89 here on our Saturday. Over towards Sunday, we get up to 91. It is hot. It is humid. That's one of the big things. The winds are going to shift in from the south and east heading into next week. And with that said, we're going to see that a big increase in humidity, even a bit of a front setting up towards our west. That's kind of helped usher in that southerly winds there. And so we take a look at the dry air here for Saturday and Sunday, and then it kind of changes up these areas in the green, indicating that influx of moisture across our area. Not as bad as further towards the west, though. Some pretty heavy rainfall out and around Louisiana into Mississippi, all thanks to this kind of tropical moisture being pumped in from the south. So they're going to be looking at some pretty decent precipitation. For us, though, we are staying dry, just kind of on the edge of the reach of this high pressure ridge off towards our east. Looking at that extended forecast, though, 86 up to 89, and then 91 over towards 92 as we go ahead through Monday and into Tuesday. So if you like the heat, you're going to absolutely love this forecast. If you dislike the heat, well, I'm sorry. It's still going to be hot here over the upcoming week, but the humidity does return, so heat indices by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be back into the mid-90s, despite the fact it's not quite as hot as over towards Sunday. It's just going to be a lot more of that air you can wear with that hot and sticky weather continuing in the forecast. Meanwhile, if we take a look at the tropics, and of course, we're always going to keep you informed on what's going on out here in tropical world. Well, at this time, we have no tropical cyclone formation expected in the forecast out here across the Atlantic over the course of the next 7 days. With that said, and it's always a caveat there, right? We do have some spin up in the long range guidance. You can kind of see it here a little bit. The broad area of low pressure being picked up on the GFS. ECMWF has been doing something very similar. But one of the big things I want to know is look at the date on this. Monday, June 15th. We're doing this video here on the 5th. So that's 10 days out. So this shows about 8 to 10 days. It is a long-range guidance. It's highly uncertain. It actually has been changing from model run to model run, and occasionally puts out what we call these phantom storms. So a lot of people will talk about this, and they'll say, "Ooh, chance of," I mean, I just saw it on my social media feed, like, "Oh, new LPA, maybe." Nah, we'll be fine. And I doubt that this actually would form. There's just too much shear in the area. With that said, sea surface temperatures are warm enough, and this is kind of the spot that we do see tropical cyclone development for this time of year. But for now, things are calm out there. Yesterday, we had a big area of convection actually in that area of the Eastern Gulf, and that is even kind of faded away due to said shear, despite the fact sea surface temperatures are into the lower 80s. That shear is, it's like kind of like if you got like a birthday cake with the candles on it and you blow on it and the candles blow out. That's more or less what shear does to these tropical systems when they try to develop, but there's just strong upper level winds. It's like blowing out a candle, which also, you know, when we talk about El Nino years, and one reason why we expect below average storms out here in the Atlantic is because of the shear that comes off of El Ninos. In fact, just taking a look at this explainer here for you. So we get the sea surface temperatures above average in the Eastern Pacific. That creates that increase in wind shear, which tears apart storms, and especially out here in the main formation area. So thus we see sheer out here right now, and it is ripping apart any potential for tropical system in the Gulf. And that's one reason why, even in that long range guidance, I'm still not kind of jumping at the chance of a tropical development. For now, though, let's come back to our extended forecast. And you know what? It continues to stay hot and muggy heading the next week. But for the weekend, the weather is looking absolutely fantastic and beautiful out there. So I do hope you get out there and enjoy the weather this weekend. We're going to go back to another break. And when we come back, I am talking with Dr. Hulkseth from the National Hurricane Center on weather modeling. And how a lot of the models we show you here in this video is numerical models, but AI weather models, which are getting into every form of life, are also changing the way we forecast the weather. And he's got some interesting insights on the future of weather forecasting. So we'll be right back.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Breaking overnight, police are investigating an officer-involved shooting.
Breaking news, a major crash on I-95.
Routine controlled burn got out of control. First Coast News was the only station there.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with First Coast News and First Coast News Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage with First Coast News and First Coast News Plus. The First Coast News Plus TV app. Streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Have the umbrella in the back seat, the rain jacket ready to go.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
Let's get some breaking news we've been following overnight.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. First Coast News Plus, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
The First Coast News weather team has your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather. Our team is here to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
You know, the future of weather modeling is switching a lot to AI. So I'm going to bring in one of the experts on this, and that is Dr. Wallace Hogsett here from the National Hurricane Center. They talk to me about, how AI models are maybe changing the game here when we're talking about tropical weather forecasting. So, Doctor, thanks so much for taking your time to talk with me here. First off, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do with the NHC and what kind of qualifies you as an expert on this topic?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll say that it's hard for anybody to be an expert on AI these days. It's changing so quickly. But good to be here. My name is Wallace Hogsett. I'm the Science and Operations Officer at the National Hurricane Center. And essentially what that means is my job is to make sure that our forecasters are equipped with the latest tools and technologies to best accomplish their mission, which is, of course, protecting life and property.
Very important, especially with upcoming hurricane season. We've seen in the past, so I'm sure you're always reaching for new tools and new ways to kind of better forecast. I know the NHC does an amazing job, and each year I see how the forecast is improving. But AI, of course, AI and those weather models, a new tool, it seems like, in your toolbox of many tools that you have available to you. So can you tell me about, I've seen there is several new models kind of being brought on board, and can you tell me a little bit about them? What makes them different, maybe from your classic GFS and ECMWF and all that?
Yeah, so ultimately this new class of models, these AI models, are, you said it, they're tools in our toolbox, but they are different than a lot of the traditional numerical weather prediction models. And so the traditional models, they essentially take the current state of the atmosphere and solve all the equations of physics, clouds, and everything to predict the future. These AI models, on the other hand, instead of predicting the physics, they actually look back in history for 30, 40, 50 years of historical data to learn patterns and use those learned patterns to predict the future. So the goal is very similar, to provide the best forecast of hurricanes possible, but the approach is different between the two. two systems.
So I guess that brings me to my next question here, and it's going to be the number one question everybody asks. Is it better? And if it is, have you ever seen any specific instances, maybe from the 2025 season, where it may have outperformed some of the other models?
Yeah, it's really too early to say if they're better. We know they're different, and the AI models did perform quite well in the 2025 season. So we'll see if that persists. At the Hurricane Center, we like to look at many cases. So 1 year worth of cases is just not enough for us to really say that a certain model is better than other models. And we also incorporate, for every forecast, we incorporate a variety of models. It's likely that we will include both traditional models as well as AI models to produce the most accurate and consistent forecast possible.
That's actually a really good point. I mean, that's with anything in science, right? You don't just look at one specific instance and go, you know what, it's working better. But it is interesting just to see these different tools becoming available to all of you out here. So you already kind of discussed in simple terms how an AI model works. You know, I am quite curious with tropical weather forecasting. Is there any specific kind of output that you feel it might handle better? Are any specific instances, for example, like max wind speed, or if it's in an early or late season storm, is there any specific things that you may have seen that the models, kind of AI models, might handle a little bit different?
Yeah, we've really just started looking at that because, like I said, we haven't had a lot of cases to evaluate, so it's really hard to say for sure that it does really well with early season storms.
All right.
Storms. But I will say that over the past couple of years, as we've been evaluating these new models, we've seen that for the track forecasts, the AI approaches initially these models perform really well for track, but they struggled with the intensity forecasts. And some of the newer models that are coming out are doing a little bit better with intensity. So it's all in flux because this development is happening really quickly. So I think we're going to learn a lot more in the next year or two.
It's something I often say to people, and it seems like right off of what you're saying, and I was curious if you agree, is the term today is the worst the AI models or AI in general will ever be. Because tomorrow it's going to be better and better and better. So this is my next question, though, and this is kind of on the more of a processing side of things. Because I see, we all know the GFS, European, all our numerical models, they take so much computer power. But can you tell me about how the AI models take a lot less processing power? And does that increase our frequency of maybe new outputs of information?
Yeah, we'll see. Like you said, it's changing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the models will just keep getting better and better and better. But these AI models do take a lot less computational power to run an individual forecast. Most of the computational power from the AI models is used in the training part where this is done once. They're taking all these decades of data to learn these patterns that they can use to predict. So I think what we might see is more and more ensemble members. So all the spaghetti models that I'm sure your viewers are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
We may see more and more ensemble members because we can run more forecasts with the same level of computation. And that is really important because that will allow us to understand the uncertainty a little bit better than we can with a more limited suite of forecasts.
All right. I got one more question for you, though. And this is anytime people talk about AI. And of course, we both work in meteorology. Is it going to take our jobs one day? What do you think?
No, absolutely not. I feel like what AI is really doing is leveraging all of this information that we have learned over the years. Observations from satellites, observations from buoys, all of these numerical models that we've built over the years. The AI is essentially building on top of that. But none of those data sets are perfect. And so I think we will always need domain experts like us at the Hurricane Center to really bridge the gap between the model outputs and the communication of risk, because no model is perfect. All of these models have errors, and we have to be able to understand them and communicate them to help keep people safe.
Well put. I like the job security there. All right, Dr. Hogsett, is there anything else that you would like to share from the National Hurricane Center as people get ready here for the 2026 hurricane season?
Just get prepared, be ready for anything, and visit hurricanes.gov for the latest forecast.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me here today. Truly appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully this helps improve the forecasts and eventually saves lives and properties. And that's what we're all here for, right?
Thanks for having me. Stay safe.